So let's actually break it down because there's a couple of factors that you need to consider. Most people, when they're buying a vehicle or even caring about a vehicle, all they're looking at is that monthly payment. Can I afford that monthly payment? Okay, yeah, that's one thing you want to look at, but no, you want to look at the overall cost of the vehicle. Regardless if you can afford that $300 payment, if you're paying, let's just pretend 14% interest, how much of that $300 payment are you making that's going to the bank's pockets?
So here's the real mystery. How do regular folks like you and me, who have families and real lives, who have careers and regular 9-to-5s, really fare in the personal finance game? Why are some hugely successful while others fail miserably time and time again? Those are the glaring questions, and this podcast will give you the answers. This is EmpowerYou Financial with Eva Palacios.
All right, and welcome to another episode of EmpowerYou Financial with Eva Palacios. My name is Charles McGill. I'm your host. So excited to be talking to you guys today. But before we get started, got to make sure the credit boss, aka credit coach, is in the building. Ms. Eva Palacios, you in the house?
Yes, what's up?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm looking a little bit different with my new headphones.
Yeah, that's right. For those who are going to watch this on YouTube.
I don't know how I feel about them. I feel like I got to be in a music studio or something.
Yeah, it does look like you kind of do a commercial or something like that for some headsets, headphones or something.
Well, my son had to go, my youngest, Mateo, had to go to school to do their testing. They got testing all this week, and apparently they needed headphones. So, of course, I gave him my headphones, and then I'm like, oh, shoot, we got to shoot a podcast. I need headphones. Right. Yeah. So then I had to borrow hubbies. So,
well, hey, they look good. I would say, for those of you who may see this clip, go ahead and let Eva know how you feel about her headphones.
Thumbs up, thumbs down. What are we doing?
But yeah, so I would say, man, just recently though, celebrated your son's 20th birthday, your oldest son, Desmond's, right?
Yes, that was crazy.
Yo,
that was
party,
crazy.
I have to say, I know I came mad late.
I know, Charles. Everybody was asking for you. Like, you know how many connections? Like, I had people waiting for you, and then like you came and they were gone.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't know about all that. But me and my wife, it was a rough Saturday. We were vegging out, and then it was just taking a while to get off the couch and get things going. But
yeah,
I know. I'm sorry. It was. But the other thing though too is like you got two things. So like one was Saturday is my wife's day to kind of recoup from a week of running
kids.
Running
lots
a daycare, lots of kids, right? So I totally understand that. And then for me, we had that event where we volunteered.
Yes.
So the morning before, and for me, if I'm out doing social stuff for like 4 hours, that's really draining for me. So
I know. Oh my God. But didn't we have such an amazing time?
It was a great time. It was a great time. I really enjoyed it. Maybe not for you.
I had amazing time.
No. So I don't want to have a misconception. I had a great time. I really did. I really enjoyed it. And my wife was, she was just like, wow, that's really cool. And it was a good time, really good time. Seriously.
Right.
But it's just
learning some Spanish.
Well, I mean, just what? Hello and bye. I knew that already. Thank you. You're welcome. I knew that.
Yeah.
So, but no, you were speaking that was good. You were
I'm in my zone. I was like, my people.
I was so glad that you were there to speak Spanish because that was pretty much everywhere we helped.
I can't believe how many Latino last names there were, and nobody spoke Spanish but me. I'm about to school y'all real quick.
Yeah, that's true. Too funny. But I thought, David had me fooled because the first couple of lines, I thought he knew Spanish when he, he was saying some stuff. I was like, okay. It turns out you were the only one that knew Spanish.
No, like for real. Like not just the hi, goodbye.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming. Have a great day. It was like, oh, you need this, and this. This is where you go. Drive down there and do this. Yep.
Yeah. And speaking of, it was an interesting time. I don't want to get into that because it was definitely not only we had a great time. It was one thing I really appreciated was just helping out all those families. And then also, I was able to actually bring home some things to give to our parents, our families, from our daycare. We were able to give some food for them too. So it was just a really great experience. I'm grateful for the opportunity and hope that we can do it again.
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
yeah.
like this is just the beginning. Like, I think they were already like signing us up for like other stuff.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. And they wanted you. Yeah. You're going to probably end up speaking to different places as well.
I know. And this is why, like, you just got to show up. Like, you just got to show up, and you never know what opportunities could be waiting for you. But if you don't show up, you will never know.
Exactly.
And that little event, which wasn't really little, but to us, it was like our first EmpowerYou event. There was 5 or 6 of us, like just being there. I could already envision like crazy EmpowerYou family volunteer day event where we're handing out food. Maybe we got some jumpy houses. Maybe we got some barbecue going in a park, to where we can make this a big thing and impact the community. Like, that's what I saw that day.
Yes. And I would love that. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's needed, especially in our communities around Stockton. And speaking of parties, I mean, going back to your son's party.
Oh yeah.
Man, that was just I'm telling you, y'all. So Eva's backyard is already nice. It's, and I didn't realize how big it was until you start putting a huge tent back there with all these tables.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was pretty fancy. You had a DJ, and go ahead and tell everybody everything you had, because it was pretty fancy.
And it is so crazy because, I see my backyard as my backyard, but just like you said, not until you start putting things, you have these systems and things that you put in place. We had like a 20 by 40 foot beautiful white tent with, beautiful fancy lights for the nighttime. We had round tables. We had seating for, I think, like 70. Yeah. And I didn't even know and that was like on just one side of the yard. Like,
exactly.
I didn't even know we could fit that much stuff.
Yeah, the photo booth.
People were having a great time. The DJ. We had the taquizas. Oh my gosh.
Which, for people who don't know what that is.
Oh, yes. I'll say, okay. Yes. So we had tacos, but also quesadillas. Mm-hmm. But they also had their specialty drink, which was called micheladas, which is kind of like a hybrid of a michelada, but no beer. It's miche with agua, which is agua fresca, which is like a fresh fruit drink. Mm-hmm. And it was horchata. It was watermelon and pineapple.
Yep.
And you could add, if you were grown over 21, you could add your, extra shot of nice stuff, or you can have it as plain. And either way, it was delicious. It was delicious. Food was great. Everybody had a good time. The cake, the cheesecakes, the cookies.
Yes.
All of it came out so beautiful. And it was hard to imagine that this was planned in like 2 weeks.
Wow. You said cookies? I think I missed the cookies.
You missed the cookies?
You still have cookies?
We had I got some. I will.
Okay.
Yes, I will drop some off to you.
Okay, after this.
These were specialty cookies because it was, my son, he loves shoes. There's a shoe game going on for y'all who don't know. Yes. He loves shoes. So these cookies were 2 different designs of Jordans. So that was the whole theme. The theme was red, black with a tint of gold. So the shoes, one was black and white with red, and one was red and black with a little bit of white. And they were I'm like, people are talented.
Yeah.
And that yes, shout out to the tribe. Shout out to the tribe that just helped me put this together. Because for those who don't realize, parties give me anxiety. Like just the whole inviting people. And then if they don't show, and then what if not enough people show, then it's like you don't feel loved type thing. Mm-hmm. But then you have all this food and all this cake and all the music. Like there's a lot that goes on. And I'm like, I need a party planner for this because this gives me anxiety.
Well, I have to just say, I mean, you did it big because I could appreciate that. My wife also loves to throw pretty elaborate parties. So all of our son's birthday parties are pretty.
John C. definitely can throw some parties.
Yes.
There's people that are just talented like this.
Yes.
Me, I'm like, what? We need cake. We need centerpieces. Like, I'm like, okay, I have the tables, but they look so empty. Like, what can we put on? And then my friends are like, we need centerpieces. And I'm like, it's 2 days from now. Where am I going to get centerpieces? Your girl did a Costco run. We bought all kinds of flowers at Costco. Thank goodness I saved some stuff. You know, those candles that you burn, the jars, when the candle's gone, I saved those jars. I've been saving them for like 2 years because I knew I might need them one day. And guess what? They became our centerpieces with beautiful flowers. Nice. It was awesome.
Hats off to you and shout out to Desmond. Super deserving, really great kid. So I'm so happy for him that, you know, he can celebrate in that way, because it was nice. It kind of reminded me of like a school prom or like a school dance, like how elaborate it was. It was just like, it was a lot. And
not elaborate. I mean, I guess.
It was. Yeah. I felt like there should have been a bouncer at the door that's kind of letting people in or not. Like that's the kind of vibe it had. And also it made me think about, okay, it's going to be cool. One day we could do like an EmpowerYou event.
Oh man.
Actually have, you know what I mean? Like have like
I really set the bar high, didn't I?
Yeah. We have enough room to have a band, like a live band there. We have enough room for like, like a mini stage, if you will. Like there is enough of all of that there. So, and she has this really nice pool with the water and the waterfall and all that. Yeah. So yeah, we might need to do something.
Definitely gonna be some summertime backyard boogie barbecues for the Lions Club.
Let's go.
That's for sure. All right. We got a taste of it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm liking this vibe. Like, yeah. But the little tiny little sucky part is it wasn't as hot as I hoped it to be. I would have wished there was more people in the swimming pool.
Well, hey, the summer is coming, and usually NorCal does not disappoint when it comes to the heat. So
that's right.
I'm sure you'll get it.
In the valley.
That's right. All right. So let's get into our podcast. I'm sure people are like, okay, whatever about the.
Yeah. They probably like, man, I need to make it to one of those parties. Stop teasing me right now.
Yeah, for real. But hey, we will, especially if you guys are local, or maybe if you're not, come through.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I'd fly places to be at a backyard barbecue like that.
Especially if we had like a speaker and live music and all that.
Oh, what?
Ooh. Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay. All right. So
moving along, Charles. Let's not give away all the goods in the podcast.
All right. So what I want to talk about today is something interesting. Because you and I recently have been kind of going over my game plan, and I have a game plan for my wife. We have a game plan for my wife and a game plan for me. We recently been visiting that because it's been some time. And so one thing that you said that we're kind of just I want to talk about a little bit today, because we hadn't thought about it too much until you actually brought it up, which was refinancing our van. And so and so the reason why I'm saying this is because I don't know if I'm the only one. I don't think I am, but I know a lot of people probably don't think too often about refinancing their vehicles, like once you get into them.
Because most people don't even know you can.
Yeah. So
most people just think you can refinance a house, but no, you can refinance anything that's a loan, really.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, see, we definitely didn't think about it. We were just like happy to get into it. First of all, when we first got it,
right?
So that's just
thank you, Jesus. I'm approved for a car loan.
There it is, and you just do your best to make the payments, and then until you get tired of the car, and then you're like, how do I get rid of this car, right? So it's like it's the same cycle, right? And so, but with us, no, we really, really enjoy our van. We actually leased a Sienna the first time. I think it's like 2016. And really enjoyed it, but it was the sport edition, so it wasn't quite as like comfortable, and it had like, I don't know, just like not as many features that we wanted in terms of like luxury features. Yep. So around 2019, I think it was, we went to go purchase a new one, and we decided to purchase it instead of leasing it. I think for two reasons. I think maybe, I don't know if our credit would allow us at that time to lease it again, but also we just felt like it was a vehicle we're going to have for some time. And we remember that the Sienna in particular was a vehicle that uh, depreciates at a slower rate than other vehicles, right? So exactly. So for example, when after we were doing our first lease, the money we owed, actually we were able to, if we were to sell the vehicle at that point, we would have came out on top. Like we would actually had positive equity because of what the vehicle what we owed versus what we could sell it for. Right. And so we were actually able to use that leverage as a down when we were financing the new one, the 2020.
Wow. Yeah. That's actually impressive, because a lot of dealerships, when you have lease options, they don't want to see you win. So they're trying to like give you a credit to the next vehicle.
Well, it's because we were trying to get the next vehicle from them.
That's the point.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. So they
were like, we need to keep his business. So how can we do it?
How can we do it?
We'll give him a little bit of money off of this vehicle.
There is some room right there. So I was like, yeah, go ahead and give me that. Yeah. And so we decided to finance, and our rate is not necessarily, it's not one of those high crazy rates, but it's not the best rate either. Right. And I remember you had mentioned, that was something that we could do. Like once we do check some other things off the box, you'd want us to refinance. And so I wanted to talk a little bit more about, number one, like why you suggest that. Because I hear you talk about that, to not just me, just a couple other clients. And maybe you could tell us some stories about like why you suggest that, how it's important, why it's important. And also, what are the benefits and, some scenarios that people can kind of see themselves in.
Yeah.
So, and then also I wanted you also to talk about how we could, ultimately win in that, right? And because you mentioned that there's different levels when it comes to that.
Yes, there's different levels of winning.
I mean, yeah. So let's talk about that. So first, tell us about the whole refining the car. Like, why do people need to do that?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, refinancing an auto loan, know that you can do it. Like you can do it. You just got to find the right lender. And when I mean the right lender is when you're shopping for lenders, and you can do this very easy. Like I tell my clients this, go online and search for credit unions near you or banks that are near you. And let's deal with locally. But the first recommendation is who has your auto loan right now, and ask them if they're able to refinance it. Because if they offer to refinance the vehicle, guess what? They already know the details. They know how much you owe. They know make and model. They know what your interest rate is. They know what your payment is. They know whether or not you've been making your payments on time. So also know that credit scores that are higher are going to give you a better interest rate. So yes, you want to be in the position of 700 plus to get the best interest rate that's out there. Number one. Number two, if you're dealing with your own financial institution, the lender that has your vehicle now, it's going to be way easier for them to refinance the existing loan because they already have all of your details. The question is do they offer a lower interest rate than what you're currently paying? See, guys, at the end of the day, the interest that you're paying to the banks, this is money they're making off of you. So in order for you to win, you need to pay as little of interest as possible, as low as possible. To get there, yes, you got to have high credit scores. But if you have those high credit scores, you can probably walk out with like today, right now, what are we in May 2021? Today, you can probably walk out with like a 2.25% interest rate.
Wow.
With a 700 plus score.
Okay. And so
that's huge.
It is huge. And because I think about like interest rates, because I think some people, and I'll speak for myself. I remember, growing up and getting into cars. I've had a lot of cars in my life, too many to count. But I remember it really was just about like, just being able to get into the car, right? As long as I could get into the car, as long as I can get approved.
And I can afford the payment.
That's pretty much as far as it went. I didn't care about the interest rate. But so tell us again, like why we should care. Because I remember there were times where I would like go to like Capital One and get a pre-qualification letter, right? And it would say you're approved for $30,000, and it was like at a 18% rate or something, or 15% rate or something crazy, or and I didn't really know. I was just like, oh, that doesn't sound right. But in certain situations, it might have worked out, or I actually would have went for it. I think I recall actually one car I did get. I was like, the interest rate is high, but the total amount of the loan was lower than what I initially budgeted for. Like I wanted to get like a $15,000 loan, and they approved it, but the rate was really high. I don't know if it was that high as like 15 or 18%, but it was high. Yeah. And I remember like I went and got a car for like 8,000 or something like that. And I thought for me, I kind of won on that one, but the interest rate was still crazy. So the bank was still, according to you, still winning, still eating off of me. So talk to us a little bit about like the difference that makes in terms of the rate, because if you can make it practical for people, maybe you have a story about a client, but like, let's say you went from like a 8% or 10% interest rate on a vehicle or on your note to a 2%. Like, what does that really mean in terms of actual dollars?
Absolutely. So let's actually break it down, because there's a couple of factors that you need to consider. Most people, when they're buying a vehicle or even caring about a vehicle, all they're looking at is that monthly payment. Can I afford that monthly payment? Okay, yeah, that's one thing you want to look at, but no, you want to look at the overall cost of the vehicle. Regardless if you can afford that $300 payment, if you're paying, let's just pretend 14% interest, how much of that $300 payment are you making that's going to the bank's pockets versus going to the actual loan to bring down that balance every single month? As a matter of fact, one of our lions in our coaching program, we're doing all kinds of stuff. One of the items is, let's see if we can refinance your vehicle to get a cheaper rate. She got a 6% rate, a 6.99. That's not horrible. Could it be better? Absolutely. So I told her the same thing. Call your lender to begin with. See what they offer to do. Well, they don't refinance vehicles, so there goes that option out the door. Okay, who else do you bank with? In a previous podcast, we talked about why we've got 7 banks and 5 of them are credit unions for this reason, so that you can shop around to see what their rates are. So I'm like, who else do you bank with? Whoever else you bank with, whether it's a credit union, whether it's a bank, let's call them. Actually, I said, don't call them. Go onto their website. Go onto their website, pull up auto loan rates, and see what are the rates that they offer. They're going to give you what their lowest interest rate is and their highest rate. The lowest rate, generally 700 plus scores. So I believe one of the lenders, she put on there, or one of the lenders, she told me their interest rate was at a 2.75. I'm like, that's huge. Let's do the math and let's pretend this refi, happens. What is that going to do for her? Well, she wants to not only save money on interest, she also wants to make sure she is still aggressively paying down that vehicle. Most people are afraid to refinance the vehicle because they're thinking, they're just going to stretch out my loan and I don't want to have more car payments across more time. Mm-hmm. So here's my mindset on that, because this was her mindset. I've got 5 years left on this car. They want to refinance it and give me 8 years. I said, okay. In order to get that 2.75% rate, we're stretching it out. Listen to what I'm saying, guys. The bank is wanting her to take out 8 years on a loan to get the lowest rate possible. If she makes payments for 8 years, they will win. Just because you sign a loan for 8 years doesn't mean you got to pay it for 8 years. So I told her, I said, look, we're going to go 8 years to get that low interest rate, but you're going to keep your payments as you would if you had the old loan, so that you can still pay it off in 5 years. But because her interest rate is so low, if she keeps her payments the same, she would pay it off in 4 years. And not only that, she would be saving close to $5,000 doing it.
Wow. 5,000?
$5,000. It was like $4,980 something dollars, but
Wow.
$5,000
Wow.
just by changing the terms. But having the right financial coach to tell her, look, you can already afford the car payments. That's not an issue.
Yeah.
We're going to win by getting the lowest interest rate possible. Keep your payments the same. Now you're fast forwarding time and paying it off in 4 years instead of the 5 at the higher rate and saving about $5,000 doing so.
See, that's incredible because I think, once again, I don't think a lot of people think about those types of savings, right? We budget out, we say, okay, we're going to spend this amount of money per month, $400 for this car payment, whatever.
Yep.
And we just say, this is what it is. It's just going to be this way for the next 5-6 years. It is what it is. But you're saying, no, there's actually a way that we can, not pay this much or pay this thing off sooner so that $400 that you were paying every month, instead of it being, obligated to this vehicle for 5 years or 6 years, we cut it shorter. I love that. And then that money can be used for other things.
Now, check this out. At the end of the day, I always do this. If we refinancing a vehicle, we are going for the longest term possible. 8 years. People are like, you're crazy, Eva. I'm like, no, you got to be smart. Why? Another thing to consider is when you do stretch out the life of that loan on paper, debt to income ratios look better. What this means is right now her payment is $600. She's paying $700. Her minimum payment on her credit report is $600.
Yeah.
When we refinance that car, that payment is going to go down to $400.
Yeah.
So now debt to income ratio wise, lenders looking at her credit, they're looking at, oh, snap, she makes this, but only pays this. She's got a lot of money to work with. So if she wants to go out and buy real estate, she doesn't look like she has all this high debt ratios.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's another reason why you want to refi.
Absolutely.
At a longer term to look attractive on paper.
Yeah. And that LTV, is that it?
No.
Not LTV. Debt
to income ratio is income minus monthly debt payments that are appearing on your credit report.
I was trying to get the
DTI.
acronym. I was trying to, I failed on that one. Anyway.
That's okay. But loan to value is also important because if you don't buy that vehicle smart in the beginning, meaning if you're not negotiating price tags, if you're not, if the numbers aren't working in the beginning, it may be difficult for you to refinance later because of LTV, loan to value.
Yeah.
See, if your interest is so high, your loan is going to barely come down. Well, as time progresses, the values of vehicles drop.
Yep.
Unless you get certain makes and models that retain value, like your Sienna situation. There are vehicles that retain their value.
Yeah.
But majority of them, their value drops. And if you owe more than what the value is, or sometimes if you owe the same as what it's worth, a lot of banks won't refinance you because you're considered a risk.
Yeah.
But something that I've learned with this particular Lion situation, she has a lender that will lend 120% loan to value. That means you could be upside down and they will still finance it.
Wow.
But chances are you're not going to get the best interest rate. Why? Because of the risk.
The risk, yeah. And so let me just bring that back for some of us who aren't familiar with some of the terms. So upside down in car language means that, you owe more money than the car is worth.
Yep.
And LTV, or loan to value, is what the loan amount is versus what the value of the asset is, or the thing is.
Correct.
The car or the house, but we're talking about cars. And so Eva's saying basically that, I didn't even think, I threw that out there because I was trying to be fancy, but but you got me, you recovered it for me. And I appreciate that. But I didn't really even know that loan to value was something that we had to consider as well when it comes to cars. I was thinking like, okay, so we got, we want to be thinking about interest rate. Why? Number one, I'm just going to try to recap this, because we don't want to be giving the banks more money than we should, right?
That's right.
They're making profit. Let's try to make them as little profit as possible, because they're going to win anyway, but they might as well not be, winning at a higher rate if they don't have to, right? If I can give you 500 instead of 600, I'm going to give you 500 for the same exact thing. Makes more sense. Yeah. So I get that. And then we also have to be considering the fact that the lesser the loan amount on the credit report, or the amount that we're obligated to pay on the credit report, is good for us when it comes to our debt to income ratio, especially as we apply for other things like houses and things that look at that as a measure to approve you or not.
Right.
And the last thing is to be thinking about the type of vehicle that we're purchasing, and its loan to value, or how it depreciates. If it's a car that depreciates really fast, or if it's a car that quote unquote holds its value over time. So there's certain cars that do that a little bit better than others. And so that's something also to be considering as we are making these purchases.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Did I get all that?
You nailed it. That was great. Yes.
All right.
Hey, quick break here. Sorry to interrupt the podcast. We'll get you right back to it. We just want to spend a few seconds to talk about the EmpowerYou financial group on Facebook. This is Eva's private Facebook group where she gives free tips, tricks, and strategies to improve your financial situation. Join the over 1,000 plus member community and see the success stories of people just like you who want to live life on their own terms. Come laugh with us, tell your story, and share your victories. Just search EmpowerYou Financial in Facebook and join our free private group. Oh, and be sure to invite a friend.
Cool. All right. So one other question that I had though about that is because, see, I know about you and there's different levels to all this stuff, right? So we got the bare minimum. We know we want to get the lowest interest rate possible that we can, right? But for what I know about you is that you try to make sure that the banks ain't getting nothing if you can help it. So talk to me about a situation where, because I know you've mentioned it before, 0%, you've been able to get your vehicles. I don't know if was it your last one or all of them, or what was it?
No, all of them, but my Infinity.
Okay. So all of them, but your Infinity, you were able to get at 0%.
Yep.
So walk us through, if you don't mind, how in the world you're able to do that. Because I'm sure a lot of people be interested in understanding that. Yes. And then also you said there's another level when it comes to this whole car game, which I'm still curious about hearing. So go ahead. About the 0%.
Definitely. And you probably will see commercials that says, 0% financing. Of course, credit scores got to qualify. When you see those commercials, or really anybody, any, dealerships, auto dealerships promoting 0% financing, you really got to weigh what that means. Because when you really think about it, a bank isn't really trying to give you money for free unless they got an agenda.
Okay. Because I'm glad you said that, because there's something about those 0%. It never makes it's hold on. So you want me to, so I'm thinking you must be getting all your profit from the cost of the car. If you're not getting profit from the loan, then it must be the cost of the car. Okay.
Absolutely. Because think about it, as a dealership, if I owned a dealership, I'm making money on the price tag of that vehicle. If somebody can't pay me cash for that vehicle, somebody has to finance it. When somebody has to finance it, the financer, the lender who is letting you borrow the money, they're now making money because of interest. So at the end of the day, the 0% promotional offers that you see on these cars, a lot of them come with guidelines like this 0% only qualifies for this make, model, year with all these fancy bells and whistles. Now, at the end of the day, if that's what you want, you could win. At the end of my day, I don't ever buy a car brand new. We are finding something that has some type of low miles and negotiating the heck out of that price tag. Because again, you need to think ahead. Number one, negotiating the price tag on vehicles, that should be your first priority. Once that bottom dollar is your magical number, Then we can talk about, okay, how are we going to pay for this vehicle? Am I going to pay cash? Am I going to borrow money? How am I going to do it? When we buy our vehicles, and I've said this, somewhere way back when, we go in with a pre-approval letter. So we never finance vehicles with the dealership banks. What are they going to do? They're going to run your credit 80 billion times. We don't need that. We shop before. How do we shop?
So just so we're clear, you're saying pre-approval, meaning that you went straight to
my own credit union
or Bank of America, National Bank or whatever.
Yep.
To get a pre-approval, and they'll give you because I've gotten one of these before. They'll say, so-and-so is approved for this loan amount.
Yep.
And basically it's kind of like a check almost to say like, hey, I can go and get this vehicle as long as it doesn't exceed this amount that's written down. Okay.
Well, and that's my little life hack is we can get pre-approved for a $50,000 vehicle. I'm not showing up with a $50,000 pre-approval letter because guess what? Dealership sees that and they're like, oh, well, you can clearly afford it.
Yeah, let me give you the car for $49,999.
Right? So no, I tell my financial institution, put the pre-approval letter at X amount of dollars, $25,000, because I ain't spending no more than that when we are shopping for this vehicle. So I am having them customize the deal for me. Oh,
and also, so speaking of, because you already know that amount and the terms, you already know what your payment's going to be.
Exactly.
Oh.
I already know my payments. I already know my interest rate. I literally show up with the letter after we done negotiated the car. And let's just pretend the letter's for $25,000 and they're like, well, no, we want $28,000. I'm like, well, I got this letter. Either you sell it to me for $25,000 or I'm walking. So then it's their risk. It's their risk. Either we give it to her or she going to go buy a car someplace else because clearly I'm approved. So now the ball is in my court.
Yeah.
I got the winning hand.
Yes. So the leverage is all yours. I love that play.
Absolutely.
So you're saying, so the swag is way different then. So it's like
totally different.
It's not like we're not actually negotiating price. We're not negotiating that. I know what that is already.
Yep.
The only decision that has to be made right now is, do you want to sell it to me for that?
Yes. But let's also be realistic. Like, I can't be negotiating a Bentley for $25,000.
Oh yeah.
Like, let's be realistic. I would have already done my homework. Mm-hmm. I would have done my homework on what type of car I wanted to buy or what I desired to have. And I'm like, okay, if this car, I see that it's generally listed for about $30,000, I'm going to try to negotiate for $25,000. And we're going to get a pre-approval saying that. And if they want to sell me a car, great. If not, I'll go someplace else. Yeah. Like for me, it's about winning.
Yeah.
And if I can win on all of my terms, that's how we're going to play.
And that's a strong hand too, because it's not like, for the dealership, the decision's really easy because if they've got a pre-approval, they know they're going to get paid.
Yeah.
It's just, do we want to sell it at this cost, which usually means because on the back end, because I used to work at a car dealership for like 2 months back in my 20s, but usually there's a built-in profit for every car, right? So they have a, basically your sales manager or whoever has like this big giant spreadsheet, if you will, of all the vehicles and then what it costs them to acquire the vehicle, right? So let's say, they got this car you're trying to get and it costs them, maybe $15,000 to acquire the car, but they're selling it for 30, right? Just because they can, right?
Yeah.
And they're just hoping.
Well, they hope you don't know. They hope you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So in that case, this is kind of extreme. But if you come in there with 25, they're taking a $5,000 haircut, but still they're making 10. Winning. So that's probably a good deal, right? But if you do your research, which I know you do, and there's some people who will say, no, I know that more than likely you got this at a wholesale spot. You probably only paid around 15. You got it marked up like crazy. So I'm going to offer you, 18 or 20, so you get some profit because they're not going to sell it to you at cost. But if you give them a little bit of profit, but still enough to where you're definitely still winning, that everybody wins. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah. So that's just, negotiating deals, coming in with your pre-approval from a financial institution that you already, have gone through the application process with. Next level is to be in a financial position to where, and this is how I've bought my automobiles at 0% interest, being in a financial position to where credit scores are amazing. You have credit card limits so high that you could buy a vehicle with the credit card. Now, I haven't been to a dealership where I can actually swipe my credit card. If you know anybody, please let me know, because then I can earn rewards on that swipe. But in this case, I use what's called a balance transfer check. Sometimes your credit card companies send you these checks in the mail that is like, if you use this check to pay off an existing debt, we will honor this for 0% interest. And sometimes they'll give you 0% interest for a year or 2 years. And now you're thinking, Eva, there is no way I'm going to pay this car off in 1 to 2 years. Well, if your credit is good, you could get 0% interest for 1 to 2 years, writing them that check. Right before that thing's going to expire, you go and you transfer it to another credit card at 0% interest for another 1 to 2 years.
Okay, so just to be clear, because I remember when I had Discover card a long time ago, and I remember getting those balance transfer. I never used to do anything with them. I didn't even understand that there were plays I could make with that. I didn't understand. And so you're telling me, because I think in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, how in the world can I get a car? Isn't there some type of like qualifier? Like, doesn't it have to be like, like an actual credit card or, something that I have, you know what I mean? Like, won't they know that I'm trying to buy a car with this? Or like, what do you say to that?
You make the check payable to whoever your little heart desires.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, but this is key, because some credit card companies will send you them checks, but they not 0% interest checks. They're cash advance checks, which then they charge you like 20 some odd percent interest. Okay. So you need to make sure you read the details, guys. If you're getting 0% balance transfer checks, you can write that check out to whoever your little heart desires, and they will give you 0% interest for however many months.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how we buy cars at 0% interest.
Once again, I want to make sure that folks get it, because I remember, like, and I'm gonna speak for myself. When I was not where I am now, when I'd hear 0%, or you could do this and you could do that for 0%, I remember just thinking like, I don't. What's the big deal? Like, it doesn't that doesn't really matter, or like it doesn't, like, how much money is that really? Like, I don't. So I want to, if you can, like, once again, put this in perspective for people. So, let's say you bought your last vehicle. Let's say you didn't do the transfer.
Yeah.
Like,
let's talk about it. Let's talk about my Infinity. Because in my Infinity, we didn't do that. Now so let's back it up a little bit, because we're not just gonna, balance transfer checks. And guess what, guys? Tip number 1, you're putting the debt on a credit card, which 0% fabulous. Bank's not making money off of you. But one thing to consider is, depending upon what that balance is versus your limit.
Yeah.
If you get close to your limit, it's going to drop down your credit score. So this is where sometimes I tell my clients, sometimes financial goals don't align with the credit goals. This is a perfect example. Financially, we're going to save you a boatload of money in interest, but your credit score might take a hit because you maxed out that credit card. So the reason we didn't do this with this vehicle is because we knew we were going to buy another house. So this is why you need the game plan, because you don't want to do one thing and it prevent you from doing something major. So the reason we took out the car loan is because we knew we were going to buy the house. And in order to buy the house, we need to have 800 scores. Yeah. We didn't want to max out a credit card because we didn't want our scores to drop. That'll then not give us the opportunity to buy that house.
this is why this is
Right? It goes. You gotta keep digging. Like it goes deep.
I don't think a lot of people thinking about all this.
No,
this is the thing. Like it's
you just trying to get a car at this affordable payment. You're not even thinking ahead of what this could do if you don't do it right the first time.
But here's the other part of this, though. Here's the thing. See, this is what's interesting about this is that you could go ahead and get the vehicle, right? Let's say you get the vehicle. You're not thinking about it. You get the vehicle. You need it. You get it.
Yeah.
But then,
excited,
6 months later, you're excited.
Car.
Yeah. But then 6 months later, you're like, oh, I want to buy a house. And then you're not able to. But see, the thing is, most people, I know like me, we wouldn't understand why. We'd be like, well, what happened? I have good credit. I have this. What's the problem? And they're like, oh, well, actually, you just bought this vehicle, this and that. Because I always heard like, oh, you shouldn't have bought this vehicle. They're like, why would I buy it? Like, but now
I needed a car to get to work. Exactly. What do you mean I can't have a vehicle?
Exactly. But now that you're breaking it down and you're saying, oh, these are how all these things are connected. Yes. Now it's making sense to see like, oh, okay, hold on. Let me pause. Okay, yeah, I do need a vehicle, but what are my plans a year from now? What are my plans 6 months from now? And how will this purchase impact all those things? Or how will this impact my credit if I do X, Y, Z? So this is what I'm talking about. Like this is another level of financial literacy.
Yeah.
That we don't really know about.
The other guys ain't telling you this.
Mm-hmm.
They're not telling you these things because they don't foresee. They don't do what I do. But okay, so going back, we took out a car loan, 2.25% interest on that car loan. Now that's a low rate, right? But every year we were spending about $900 a year in interest.
Mm.
So 0% versus 2.25, not equals to, based on the loan amount and all of that good stuff. For us, it equated to about $900 a year in interest.
Yeah. So I can only imagine if it was like 6% or 8%, it'd be even that much more.
Even more.
Okay.
Even more. Now I'm still like, they getting $900 of my money? What in the world? No. So we not only got the house, but we also knew, okay, let's leave the car loan. Like, it wasn't a priority, payments, low interest rate. But thank goodness we didn't do the balance transfer because then what? Market started to shift. Interest rates on the mortgage loan started to drop. Had we, had you not known what I know, we would have done the balance transfer, 0% on a credit card, credit score would have dropped. But now it would have taken us off of the table to refinance the mortgage, which was a 4.75 to a 2.75.
And that saved you all.
And that saved us $400 a month in a mortgage payment, plus almost $190,000 across time.
Wow. So, okay. See, and that's the thing. So that went from that awareness of what to do when.
Yep.
And you leveraging and saying, okay, I'm going to take this $900 hit extra per year that I really don't want.
Yep.
But I can, leverage this opportunity kind of where I am to save $190,000.
Yep.
over time.
Yep.
And then you're going to end up, because I know you end up paying off that car anyway. So
then I really got good and I sacrificed all kinds of stuff and applied all extra money to that car loan and got it paid off in 3 years versus the 8.
There it is.
And the banks only made 9 times 3, $2,700 in interest on me.
Versus a lot more. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. See. So, okay. So once again, for those who are listening, this is the kind of level of expertise and a level of detail that we're talking about when we talk about the credit game plan. So once again, I don't want to, I know the last couple podcasts we've been really getting on y'all about getting this credit game plan. I'm not going to make this one of those podcasts. I just wanted to make sure that
these are the things that we're talking about.
Yeah. But
these are the masterminding of the numbers.
I wanted people to be reminded of, kind of like the real, like day-to-day practical things that we're talking about, because sometimes it can get a little pie in the sky. I understand that. Some people think like, oh yeah, just going to improve my credit, la, la. No. This is like, it goes very deep.
No,
It
it
goes
goes
very deep.
so many layers.
So many layers. Okay.
So many
We got to get
layers.
out of here, but there's one more layer. I know there's one more level to this. Because you said there was another level after the 0%.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so if you could briefly touch that, and then we got to wrap this thing up. But wow, that's
So now we've mastered how to buy vehicles at the price tag that we want to buy them at.
Mhm.
We've mastered how to get the 0% interest. Now, next level, we putting the next car under the business name.
Okay.
Under the business EIN, because when you are structured how we're structured, LLC or corporation, and you start building business credit, you can buy company vehicles. And because that loan is under the company name, it's not going to mess with your personal debt to income ratios, nothing with the personal credit score. Nobody even sees that as existing because it's under the company name.
Whoa.
And that's how we win, because now it's a tax write-off as well. So now you're really winning. Nobody can see it, and Uncle Sam paying you for it.
Hold on. Okay. We gotta break that down. We got to break that down because I don't know, I don't know that people can really appreciate it right away. Once again, I'm speaking, when I say people, I mean me. So okay. So we're going to put in our business name.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's a separate entity. So the way we're winning on that is that it doesn't show up on my personal credit report.
Correct.
So that means it doesn't impact my debt to income ratio. So if I still want to buy a house, so let's say same scenario, and they're like, don't buy a vehicle, don't do any of this because you're trying to buy a house. I can say, you know what? I'm gonna put this vehicle on my business name so I can still buy that house. And
that's right.
Okay. All right. So so
all of it.
That's one. And then number two, in terms of how it impacts my credit score, having another loan or whatever, that doesn't really matter too, because once again, it's somewhere else. So it doesn't stop me from any other plays I'm trying to make on my personal side.
No hurdles.
And it's building up my business side.
Yeah.
So building up that credit, right? Because I have something I'm paying on it. But then you also mentioned the whole tax write-off thing. So briefly explain it, because we don't want to get too much into that, because we got to say we're not tax advisors and legal disclaimer and all that stuff. We don't, we're not tax people. But kind of just generally, speak to what does that mean when you say it's a tax write-off for my business? Like, why do you need that? Why is that beneficial? Like,
yeah, it is. I mean, if you've got a business and you got to drive to make business happen, you need a car. And that car should respectively be in the business name. Mm-hmm. So yeah, whether you're driving to go buy supplies, or maybe you need a nice big old truck to haul equipment for your business. Mm-hmm. Maybe you need that 15 passenger van because you got a daycare. Maybe you need, right? Maybe you need, a trailer to like haul stuff, or maybe a box truck. Maybe a food truck. All of that should be in your company's name and not in your personal name. Yeah.
And the reason why, and so it's because, so business, and I know this because I have two businesses now. Businesses need expenses, right? So you have your revenue, right? And then you have your expenses. Yep. And what you get taxed on is the profit, right? So revenue minus expenses, whatever's left, that's what you get taxed on. So the lower that number is, the lower the amount of taxes I'm paying. The higher the number is, and vice versa, right? So from a business perspective, what you're saying is that it's a write-off, and it helps you because you need these type of things to lower your tax liability, if you will. And so there's some plays there. And then there's also this whole nother level in terms of how even all that works, because now I'm learning it because I have my vehicle. And I know that, we can, through over time, we can kind of, show deductions and things like that. There's a whole bunch of stuff that, I don't know much about. But all
I know is I'm thinking of an EmpowerYou bus.
Hey, that's right. That's right. EmpowerYou something. Yes.
Right?
Yes. Well, you know what? So there's one thing it's on the list, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Can I say what it is?
I think people can guess. Who can guess what's on our list?
No. I mean, okay. Well, so I don't know if we're thinking about the same thing because
Uh-oh.
I'm thinking about a conversation that we had with your husband and what's on the list in terms of the vehicle that the business vehicle.
Oh, his vehicle.
Yeah.
Oh, his business vehicle. Because there are two of us in the business, so he gets one and I get one.
Oh, okay. So that's coming up. Okay, good. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, I'm pretty happy about that. Okay, so
not till later.
Okay.
But you'll know when it happens.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the plan, but that's the move.
That is the move. That's the move. We don't. Yeah. Ain't nothing going to be on our personal credit no more. It's all about the business credit.
Hey. Okay. All right. Well, hey. All right, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed that because that was a whole lot of game. That was a whole lot. Notes. I hope y'all stayed past our starting off with the party. That was pretty long. But this part was. I mean, I think all of it's good. But you know, I really appreciate you sharing that with us because just making us think about different ways to look at our financing and just not taking things for granted. Like so often we just kind of get into these contracts and loans and just kind of just do what we do, but not understanding that there's ways to actually be strategic and really win. Yeah, and win. Okay, I don't know. Is that gonna be named this podcast episode? Winning? What? I don't know.
Yeah, how to win.
How to win
it all.
We'll figure it out. All right, so Eva, why don't you leave us with a last golden nugget, if you will, around the whole car game? Because man, yeah, I didn't know. It's just so many layers. But you can really win at this car game.
Totally win.
And I'm sure there's even more plays that we haven't talked about, but even these ones right here, in terms of just your personal vehicle, that's just super rich. So once again, if you could talk to the people once again, why it's important for them to consider refi their car, and what what are the right questions they should be asking themselves, I think, before they get into it, because they might just hit you up like, hey, I want to refi, but I'm sure there's some things that that they got to look at to really kind of make sure that even makes sense. So talk to us about that.
Yes, absolutely. So guys, if you are thinking, or maybe you're not even thinking, you're like, oh my gosh, they planted the seed. If you are now thinking about refinancing an auto loan, number one, know that your credit score will determine your interest rate. So if you have a high rate right now, we need to make sure your credit score is decent, preferably 700 and above, for you to get what's offered, which right now is like a 2.24. So know that your credit score determines your interest rate. Your payment, the lower the interest, the lower the monthly payment. Also know that the term of the loan, an 8-year-old loan will give you a lower monthly payment. Just because you have an 8-year loan, we are not going to take 8 years buying this vehicle. Because then what will happen? The $30,000 vehicle that you bought will turn into a $40,000, $50,000 debt across time. So we stretch out the life of the loan, but we apply extra payments towards principal. Or if you get really good, you can follow the methods of doing the balance transfer check to get a 0% interest. So now you have peace of mind that the banks aren't going to be winning all of your money. So at the end of the day, yes, factors to consider: interest rate, loan term, over monthly payment. Too many people are falling in love with these cars. I got to get this car. I need this car. I love this car. You guys have to fall in love with knowing how much this car is going to cost you and making sure you are not paying more than what you have to be paying. So don't just look at the car payment. Look at the overall purchase transaction so that you can be able to feel confident and drive away happy and love that car month after month, year after year, knowing you made a really good decision on it. And if you're not sure, you know who to call. Get you a part of the credit game program, because tons of people are winning. We're refinancing vehicles. People are buying new vehicles at 0% interest. It is nuts. But at the end of the day, it's a matter of beating the banks.
Yeah. Well, amazing. All right, y'all. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Empower You Financial with Eva Palacios. One of the things that Eva enjoys most about being in personal finance is seeing people win. So if you are looking to improve your credit score because you're ready to make a major purchase, get better rates, or start living life on your own terms, visit Eva at evaempowers.com and schedule a consultation with her so you too can live life empowered.